The pace of the world today is fast, overwhelming, and often downright unsettling. We can all relate to the urge to tune out from the constant barrage of news, especially with the chaos in Washington and the ominous rise of certain political figures. But here's the catch: ignoring the news is not an option. Whether you like it or not, the world is happening around you and to you. The choices we make today will echo through generations, shaping not only our political landscape, but also our ethical and philosophical foundations. Are you going to sit this one out? In Margaret Sullivan's powerful Guardian article, "It's Never Been More Important to Stay Tuned In," she tackles a difficult yet critical topic: how to stay engaged without burning out. Figures like Donald Trump and Elon Musk, with their outsized influence on politics, media, and technology, represent facets of a nation grappling with rapid change. In moments of uncertainty, it's easy to disengage, but disengagement could mean losing what we've worked so hard to build. The stakes are high, but so is the potential for change if we can just keep fighting. The pressure to disconnect is real. We're living in a time where news feels like a constant flood of negativity and confusion. It's tempting to ignore the headlines, pretend things are fine, and focus on entertainment, family, or sports. But there's a price to pay for shutting out the noise. As Sullivan points out, if we all tune out, there's no hope at all. The term shock and awe refers to a military strategy designed to overwhelm adversaries through rapid and massive actions. The Trump administration has employed a domestic version of this strategy, rapidly enacting controversial policies that disrupt established norms and overwhelm public discourse. This tactic aims to create a sense of chaos, making it challenging for both the media and the public to process and respond effectively. The sheer volume and velocity of these actions can lead to feelings of helplessness and fatigue, prompting many to consider disengagement as a coping mechanism. The Trump administration's recent policies have intensified the public's inclination to disengage. In a move that raised significant concerns about government oversight, President Trump dismissed at least 17 inspectors general across various federal agencies. This action, described by critics as a Friday night purge, undermines the checks and balances designed to prevent abuse of power. Immigration and Customs Enforcement has conducted widespread raids, instilling fear within immigrant communities. Critics argue these actions are inhumane and legally questionable. President Trump's apparent willingness to accept demands from foreign leaders, such as agreeing to keep Ukraine out of NATO at Russia's behest, has raised alarms about the administration's commitment to democratic principles and international alliances. These actions contribute to a climate of uncertainty and fear, prompting many to withdraw from engaging with current events as a means of preserving their mental well-being. However, when wrongdoing becomes routine, people stop resisting it. The danger is that normalization of chaos allows abuses of power to go unchecked. Philosopher John Stuart Mill warned about the dangers of apathy in democratic societies, arguing that liberty and justice require active, engaged citizens. Civic participation is not just a right, it's a responsibility. Ethics demand that we stay informed, not just for ourselves but for the broader community. If we disengage, we allow power to be wielded without accountability, privilege to remain unchecked, and injustice to persist. At the same time, many people experience a psychological and even philosophical pull to disengage from current events. This tendency isn't just about personal preference, it's often rooted in deeper mechanisms designed to protect us from stress and cognitive overload. One major reason is information overload. The modern media landscape bombards us with an endless stream of headlines, many of which are sensationalized or emotionally charged. Constant exposure to this flood of information can lead to cognitive fatigue, where the brain becomes overwhelmed and struggles to process new input. When people feel mentally exhausted, they may shut out the news as a form of self-preservation, avoiding the stress of keeping up with a rapidly changing world. Negativity bias and emotional burnout also play a role. Our brains are evolutionarily wired to prioritize negative information, a survival mechanism that once helped our ancestors detect threats, but now fuels the anxiety of the modern news cycle. However, in today's 24-hour news cycle, this means we are repeatedly exposed to distressing stories, wars, political chaos, climate disasters, without time to emotionally recover. Over time, this constant negativity can lead to emotional burnout, causing people to withdraw from the news entirely to protect their mental well-being. A related psychological effect is learned helplessness, a state where individuals feel powerless to change or influence the world around them. When people witness ongoing crises, corruption, inequality, environmental destruction with little visible progress, they may begin to believe that their actions don't matter. This sense of helplessness fosters disengagement, as tuning out feels easier than confronting problems that seem insurmountable. Additionally, confirmation bias plays a role in shaping how people engage with information. Many individuals unconsciously seek out news that aligns with their existing beliefs, avoiding sources that challenge their worldview. When the news contradicts their perspective or forces them to confront uncomfortable realities, they may choose to disengage entirely rather than experience the discomfort of cognitive dissonance. Disengagement might be justified when the news only induces anxiety without leading to meaningful action. Individuals should remain aware, but not let external chaos dominate their inner peace. The key is to find a balance between awareness and well-being, to engage in ways that are sustainable rather than overwhelming. Despite these psychological barriers, media literacy is key to staying engaged without feeling overwhelmed. The ability to discern truth from fiction is an essential skill in today's information landscape. It requires an understanding of where information is coming from, why it's being presented a certain way, and how to navigate bias. One of the most important steps is source verification. It's crucial to check where information originates and whether it comes from a credible news organization or is simply being spread through social media without proper verification. Established newspapers like The Guardian, The New York Times, and The Washington Post, as well as public broadcasters like BBC and NPR, provide well-researched journalism, while fact-checking organizations such as Snopes, factcheck.org, and PolitiFact help assess the accuracy of claims. Cross-referencing information is another essential habit. If a major event is reported, checking to see if multiple credible sources are covering it can prevent falling for misinformation. If only one website or a handful of biased outlets are reporting something, it's a red flag that the information might be misleading. Recognizing bias is equally important. All media outlets have some level of bias, but understanding where they lean, whether left-leaning like the New York Times and MSNBC, centrist like Reuters and BBC, or right-leaning like the Wall Street Journal and National Review, helps create a more balanced perspective. It's also vital to be cautious of clickbait and sensationalism. If a headline is designed to provoke an emotional reaction, it's important to slow down and read critically. Sensationalist wording often signals exaggeration or misinformation. Checking the author and date of an article is another useful step. Who wrote it? Do they have expertise in the subject? And is the story recent? Or is an old event being misrepresented as breaking news? Lastly, using fact-checking tools regularly ensures that misleading claims don't go unchallenged. Despite the challenges of engaging with the news, staying informed is more important than ever. In an era of misinformation, political upheaval, and rapid technological change, disengagement comes at a high cost. When people tune out, they leave decision-making power in the hands of those who may not have their best interests at heart. A well-informed public is essential for democracy, as it enables citizens to hold leaders accountable, advocate for meaningful change, and participate in shaping the future. Moreover, knowledge is a powerful antidote to fear and helplessness. Philosophers like Immanuel Kant argued that enlightenment, man's emergence from his self-imposed immaturity, is the key to autonomy and self-governance. While the news can be overwhelming, understanding the complexities of global issues allows individuals to find actionable solutions and engage in meaningful discussions. Instead of succumbing to cynicism, staying informed empowers people to take part in grassroots movements, support policies that align with their values, and foster a sense of collective responsibility. Thank you for watching. Our channel, The Renaissance Spirit, is dedicated to the pursuit of a just, equitable, and humanitarian world. We explore history, politics, religion, personal development, society, culture, social and environmental justice, and other liberal arts and sciences, including ancient Rome and the Roman Empire, which offers a fascinating comparison to the modern world. The Renaissance ushered in a golden age of knowledge, both rediscovered and yet to be explored. It gave birth to the Enlightenment and the Age of Reason. By embracing truth, knowledge, and an understanding of humanity's shared history, we open up the world to ourselves while improving society as a whole. Tuning out might provide short-term relief, but it ultimately weakens society's ability to respond to challenges. The world is changing, whether we pay attention or not. Choosing to stay informed isn't merely about personal awareness. It's about safeguarding truth, justice, and progress for future generations. Subscribe, turn on notifications, and share. Live the Renaissance spirit.